Okay, so get this. We are diving into the world of tire recycling today. But hold on, we're not talking about those rubber mulch playgrounds.
Right.
This is about taking old tires and turning them into some seriously high-tech stuff.
It's really pretty amazing when you think about it.
Yeah.
We're talking about recovered carbon black,
Right.
rCB for short, and it's like, it's like modern-day alchemy.
Alchemy, you say. So we're turning old rubber into gold.
Not exactly gold, but you're on the right track.
Okay.
It's about transforming something most people see as waste into a valuable resource.
Yeah.
In this case, a key ingredient for making new tires.
Wow.
Talk about a circular economy, right?
Now that's what I call closing the loop. We've got this stack of newsletters here, rCB News, from industry expert Martin von Wolfersdorff.
Yeah.
And he breaks down all the exciting developments in this field.
He's been following this industry for years.
Yeah.
And really understands the intricacies.
So let's break this down.
Sure.
When we say recovered carbon black, what are we actually talking about? Is it just ground up tires?
Not at all.
Okay.
It all starts with this process called pyrolysis.
Okay.
And it's not about burning tires,
Right.
but rather carefully heating them in a low oxygen environment.
Okay.
It's almost like distilling where you're extracting the essential elements.
Okay.
And one of those is carbon black.
So we're pulling out the good stuff.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. We can already make virgin carbon black.
Right.
So why go through the trouble of recovering it from old tires?
Yeah.
Is it purely an environmental thing?
Sustainability is a huge factor, of course.
Right.
Traditional carbon black production uses a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Relies heavily on fossil fuels.
Right.
Recovered carbon black offers a way to significantly reduce that environmental impact.
That's a big win for the planet.
Huge.
But these newsletters suggest that there's even more to the story.
Yeah.
It's not just about being eco-friendly.
Yeah.
Right? There's something about rCB being potentially even better than the virgin stuff.
You're picking up on something important.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But the process of breaking down and recovering the carbon black can actually enhance its properties.
Hold on. We're saying this stuff from old tires could outperform what we're making new.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's like forging a sword. The process of heating, hammering, and refining strengthens the metal.
Right.
Similarly, the specific conditions of pyrolysis can influence the characteristics of the resulting carbon black. Some
Wow.
companies are even testing rCB in high-performance tires because of its unique properties.
Really?
Yeah.
That's turning trash into treasure for sure.
It is. It is.
But von Wolfersdorff also mentions some roadblocks facing rCB.
Yeah.
If it's this game-changing, why isn't everyone jumping on board?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
One of the biggest hurdles is scaling up production
Right.
to meet the potential demand.
Yeah.
We need significant investment in these advanced pyrolysis plants.
Right. Building out a whole new infrastructure always comes with challenges.
For sure.
What else is slowing down rCB's big moment?
Standardization is another big one.
Okay.
Right now, every rCB producer has their own process,
Right.
which leads to inconsistencies in the final product.
Okay.
It's like trying to bake a cake when every bag of flour is different.
Right.
Manufacturers need to know what they're getting.
So it's about creating a reliable product, one that meets specific standards. That's being done to address that.
The industry is working on establishing clear quality standards and classifications.
Okay.
It's crucial for wider adoption.
Right.
Like ensuring every medium roast coffee actually tastes similar.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
But it sounds like a speed bump, not a roadblock.
that's right.
What other challenges are on rCB's radar?
Well, von Wolfersdorff keeps emphasizing the need for collaboration. For rCB to really take off, we need everyone on board. Tire manufacturers, carbon black producers, recycling companies, even investors.
Yeah.
Everyone.
So it's a team effort, kind of like building a racing car from scratch,
Yeah.
right? You need experts in different areas working together to make it a success.
Absolutely.
Speaking of teamwork, von Wolfersdorff's newsletters also highlight some interesting geopolitical dynamics at play.
Yeah.
Like, remember those sanctions on Russian carbon black we touched on earlier?
Right. Those sanctions really shook things up.
Yeah.
Europe, which was heavily reliant on Russian carbon black, suddenly needed to find alternative sources, creating a potential opening for rCB to step in.
It's like the saying, when one door closes, another one opens.
Right.
But then von Wolfersdorff throws a curveball and says this impact might have been less dramatic than initially thought.
Right.
What's going on there?
Well, it appears the economic slowdown, especially in Europe,
Yeah.
actually led to a decrease in the overall demand for carbon black.
Okay.
Fewer new cars being manufactured meant less need for new tires,
Right.
which in turn reduced the pressure to find replacements for those Russian imports.
So it's a bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
The sanctions created an opportunity for rCB,
Yeah.
but the economic climate meant the demand wasn't as urgent as it could have been.
Exactly. It shows how interconnected these global systems are.
Right.
But this slowdown might actually benefit rCB in the long run.
Okay.
It gives the industry breathing room to scale up production,
Right.
fine-tune those processes,
Yep.
and iron out the standardization challenges we were talking about.
It's like they've been given a head start to get their act together before the demand really explodes.
Precisely. And investors are starting to see the potential.
Okay.
There have been some significant investments recently, like the one in Circ, that major rCB producer in the Netherlands.
Yeah, von Wolfersdorff seems really fired up about that one.
Yeah,
He called it a huge win for the industry
absolutely.
and suggested that more investors might be ready to jump on board soon.
And it's not just about the money.
Right.
Von Wolfersdorff emphasizes the importance of those strategic partnerships.
Okay.
He sees big tire companies,
Right.
carbon black manufacturers,
Yeah.
even players in the petrochemical industry,
Okay.
as crucial for building a robust rCB ecosystem.
So it's not about trying to outmaneuver each other. It's about working together to make this industry sustainable for everyone involved.
Exactly. He gives the example of Orion,
Okay.
a carbon black producer,
Right.
making a strategic investment in Alpha Carbone, an rCB producer.
Interesting.
He sees it as a step in the right direction,
Yeah.
but would love to see bolder moves from these major players.
It's like he's saying, put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah,
If you believe in the future of rCB,
yeah,
invest in building the infrastructure and partnerships that will make it a reality.
precisely. And it's not just about the financial investment either.
Oh,
It's about knowledge sharing,
Yeah.
research and development,
Right.
creating a truly circular economy from the ground up.
It's a huge undertaking, but the potential payoff is huge too. Which brings us back to something von Wolfersdorff keeps hammering home in his newsletters.
Yeah,
The importance of standards and classifications for rCB.
right.
He's really passionate about this.
He's right to be.
Okay.
For rCB to become a true commodity,
Yeah.
buyers need to be confident in what they're getting.
Right.
It's not enough to say, this is recovered carbon black.
Yeah.
You need specific classifications that tell you about its properties, purity,
Yeah.
and how suitable it is for different applications.
Right.
Remember that coffee roast analogy?
Right. If I order a medium roast,
Yeah,
I expect a certain flavor profile.
exactly.
It's the same with rCB.
Right.
Manufacturers need that consistency and certainty.
Absolutely. But that's where things get a bit tricky.
Okay. How so?
Well, there are two main classification systems being considered. Okay. One by rCB Rubber, a collaboration between Bridgestone and Michelin,
Okay.
and another by the ASTM International D36 Committee.
Two different systems.
Yeah.
So which one is it going to be?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
Each system has its pros and cons.
Okay.
Von Wolfersdorff actually sees flaws in both,
Okay.
but is pragmatic about it.
Okay.
He says any classification, even an imperfect one,
Yes.
is better than none at all.
Get the ball rolling.
Right.
Figure out the details later makes sense.
Exactly.
But what are the key differences between these two approaches?
From what I gather, the rCB Rubber system seems to be taking a more streamlined approach,
Okay.
prioritizing practicality and ease of implementation.
Keep it simple, make it easy to adopt.
Exactly. The ASTM D36 system, on the other hand, is more comprehensive, going into detail on a wider range of properties and testing methods.
Sounds a bit more academic
Yeah.
and potentially more time-consuming.
You could say that it might take longer to implement,
Okay.
but it aims to provide a more detailed and nuanced understanding of rCB properties.
So it's a trade-off between speed and thoroughness.
That's right.
Which side is von Wolfersdorff on?
He's staying neutral for now, recognizing the value of both.
Okay.
He seems to be pushing for a collaborative effort,
Okay.
even putting his own program, Pop Carbon, on hold
Really?
to avoid further fragmenting the industry.
Wow.
It seems like he's waiting to see which system gains wider acceptance.
Like Switzerland. Neutral,
Yeah,
but invested in a positive outcome.
that's right.
So what happens now? Any timeline on this standardization showdown?
These things take time, but von Wolfersdorff is optimistic they'll reach a consensus soon.
Okay.
He sees standardization as mission critical for RCB to reach its full potential.
It's like laying the foundation for a skyscraper. You need to get it right, even if it takes longer.
A perfect analogy. And he emphasizes that this isn't just an internal industry thing.
Right.
It requires buy-in from everyone involved.
Yeah.
Tire manufacturers, regulatory bodies,
Right.
the whole supply chain.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Exactly.
Speaking of teams, there's another interesting collaboration von Wolfersdorff keeps mentioning. The Black Cycle Initiative.
Right.
What's that all about? Black Cycle, it sounds kind of like some kind of superhero team.
Yeah.
Like the Avengers of tire recycling, banding together to save the planet
Right.
one tire at a time.
There's some truth to that.
Okay.
Black Cycle really embodies what von Wolfersdorff keeps advocating for.
Right.
A true ecosystem approach to circularity.
Okay.
They're not just looking at one part of the recycling process.
Right.
They're thinking about the entire life cycle of a tire.
That's thinking long-term, for sure.
Absolutely.
So how does this actually play out in the real world? What sets Black Cycle apart?
Well, one of their most impressive accomplishments has been creating a closed-loop system for producing something called circular furnace carbon black.
Okay, hold up.
Yeah.
Circular furnace, carbon black.
Yeah.
That's a mouthful. Is that different from the recovered carbon black we've been discussing?
It is different but related.
Yeah.
Remember how we talked about pyrolysis producing those valuable byproducts?
Right.
Well, besides RCB, you also get this oil, often called tire pyrolysis oil,
Okay.
or TPO.
Right, like the other half of the treasure map.
Exactly. Black Cycle has figured out how to use that TPO
Okay.
as a feedstock to produce more carbon black.
Wow.
It's made in a traditional furnace carbon black plant,
Okay.
but they're using a much more sustainable source material.
Wow. So they're taking old tires, breaking them down,
Yep.
and then using those components to create brand new carbon black that's just as good as the stuff made from fossil fuels.
You got it.
That's a game changer.
It really is. And the best part is that this circular furnace carbon black can then be used to make new tires,
Right.
creating a truly sustainable cycle.
Now I'm really starting to see why von Wolfersdorff is so gung-ho about this collaborative approach.
Yeah.
And Black Cycle doesn't shy away from ambitious goals either, do they?
Not at all. One of their stated objectives is to recycle every single end-of-life tire in Europe by 2030.
Wow.
Imagine the impact that would have.
That's a lofty goal.
Yeah.
But it can't just be about recycling for recycling's sake.
Right.
It has to make financial sense, too.
You hit the nail on the head. That's a key question von Wolfersdorff keeps raising.
Yeah.
Can a circular economy actually compete with the traditional linear model?
It's the billion-dollar question. So does von Wolfersdorff have an answer?
He doesn't give a definitive answer,
Okay.
but he points out several important factors to consider.
Okay.
The cost of these advanced recycling plants,
Right.
how the price of RCB compares to virgin carbon black,
Okay.
whether there's a reliable supply of end-of-life tires,
Right.
and even the impact of government regulations.
So it's a complex equation with a lot of moving parts, but it feels like we're getting closer.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And von Wolfersdorff highlights several other positive developments in his newsletters.
Okay.
For example, there's Marubeni,
Yep.
a Japanese trading giant,
Right.
investing heavily in RCB production in Asia,
Wow.
showing this is a global movement.
Okay.
And there's growing interest in repurposing existing industrial sites like old coke ovens
Okay.
for RCB production, which is very encouraging.
It's not just a small-scale experiment anymore.
No,
Recovered carbon black is gaining real momentum
it is.
and has the potential to completely change the way we think about manufacturing.
It really does feel like a turning point.
I'm totally on board. After diving deep into this with you,
Yeah.
I'm seeing the humble tire in a whole new light.
Right.
It's not just a piece of rubber anymore. It's a source of valuable materials that can be used and reused.
It's a perfect example of the circular economy in action
Right.
and a whole new way of thinking about waste.
Right.
What was once discarded can now be seen as a valuable resource.
It just goes to show that amazing discoveries can be found in the most unexpected places.
That's right.
Sometimes you just need to ask the right questions and be open to new possibilities.
Well said. Who knows what other innovations are waiting to be uncovered as we continue to explore the world through a more sustainable lens?
That's a great question, and a perfect place for us to wrap up our deep dive into the world of recovered carbon black.
Yeah.
We've only scratched the surface of this fascinating and rapidly evolving industry.
We have.
Hopefully this has inspired you to look a little closer at the things we often take for granted.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.